I recognize the ranking member, Mr. DeFazio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm interested to hear that there will be a proposal on reauthorizing Magnuson available in a week. I would hope perhaps if your draft is near done, you might share it. We haven't seen it because I think this is something that can be worked out on a bipartisan basis and doesn't need to be one side of the aisle and doesn't need to be contentious. So I'm hopeful that before it's released to the general public that we might have an opportunity to look at it. You know, I have talked with the Secretary of Interior. You know, she has expressed a willingness to, you know, take a phone call from you at any time to provide any specific information that's necessary. You know, the department has been, you know, basically devoting a lot of resources to tens of thousands of pages of documents that, as far as I can tell, no one bothers to read once they've been brought down here to the Hill. They're all in a closet somewhere. You know, I don't know what the objective is. If we have some very specific objectives or concerns regarding the Interior Department and a lack of transparency on a particular issue, I'm sure on a bipartisan basis we can pursue those things. But to mire Interior down is actually going to, you know, slow them down in many things that we agree upon that we want to get done out there, the myriad activities that Interior is involved in. So I think that they have been more than forthcoming, and if there's anything in particular that reaches a conclusion or a point that isn't just some sort of giant fishing expedition for tens of thousands of pages of documents that no one's going to read or compile, then I'm sure we could get that. Again, I think we could do these things better. And then to the case at point, which is the Endangered Species Act reform. I've been on the committee 27 years now, as of a few weeks from now. And over that time, we have visited a couple of times meaningful updates to the Endangered Species Act. Republican Wayne Gilchrist from the Eastern Shore of Maryland had a bipartisan proposal, which I supported some number of years ago. George Miller at one point had a bipartisan proposal, which I supported. There are ways to continue the objectives of the Endangered Species Act that would be less time-consuming, less litigious, less burdensome, you know, particularly as we move more toward you know, looking at larger landscape management and ecosystem approaches, as is being done with the lesser prairie chicken in a cooperative mode with a number of states. And I would hope that those are the kind of reforms we're going to look at in the law. You know, listing species one at a time, sometimes in conflict one with another. Most famously, I think the Kootenai sturgeon downstream, you know, in an area it needs certain water types of flows to spawn, but when those flows are created, it creates conflicts for other endangered species downstream. We've got to work these things out in a way that is, you know, a more general ecosystem-based approach to management, so we don't create inherent conflicts and imponderables in terms of accomplishing the goals of the Act, which I would hope we all still share. We don't want to see species go extinct. So I'm hopeful that this is the 6th hearing on this issue. I'm hopeful that in a collaborative way we can look at some reforms that will make the Act work better to achieve the goals that were set forth 40 years ago. It is a 40-year-old law, and we do need to recognize more modern science and different approaches to accomplish those goals. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman yield.